Okay, so we're going to do flyout effects on lasers. This is actually one of the easiest things to do because since you're operating within a zone and since you're operating with something that can move in 0 time, you do not need to have a dimmer component to your flyout. And since they can move in 0 time, you're never waiting for a light to get back to the bottom. So this is real easy. We're going to grab all our builders, turn them on, put them in. I'm just going to do a short line for right now and get that down nice and small. And then I am going to fan that out. So we have a nice fan, and I am going to set the tilt to center since it's not. There we go. Tilt is now center. So with the tilt in the center, all we have to do at this point is go ahead and put a sawtooth on our tilt. So I'm going to go ahead and put a sawtooth on the tilt, which here in Onyx, you just got to turn the PT combo off. Any other desk, you're just applying your sawtooth. But go down here. I'm guessing it's going to be this one. Let's get some swing and some speed. Okay, so that's the wrong one. We're going to go the other way. There we go. Ramp up. So ramp up. So that looks cool. We're got all of them doing the thing we want, but we need to spread it out. So I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to do an odd even. So very quickly, we can do a 3-part, get multiple things in motion per 4. Now, if we want to spread it across the laser, we have 8 builders per laser. So now we just have each laser is moving across. Let's say we want each laser to do it symmetrically. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 8 lasers. There we go. Let me, sorry, mirror 16. There we go. So now I have symmetrical out from center for all my lasers. One really cool thing you can do, since you have so many builders, is do a randomized flyout. So I'm going to go ahead, turn off my grouping tools, randomize real quick, and then per 64. So now we just have a beautiful twinkle and flyout. And again, there is no dimmer component. They are all just regenerating at the bottom and moving to the top in their own time. And I can change the size of that however I want to. So I can come in here and make it be a very little. And again, since it's a laser and it can move in 0 time, it's just going to regen at the bottom every time. I can make it massive and have them move very quickly through space. And if I go to like a past 100% of range, I can easily be moving from way below to way above the zone and making an effect that moves really quickly. So that's that on Onyx, really easy ramp effect. So now let's say, since you don't need a dimmer component, you can actually add some really cool stuff to your flyouts really easily. So for one, let's just make this another color. We're going to zoom it out a little bit. So we want to add a there we go. So we can actually do a dimmer effect on top of our flyout and have kind of like a strobe type flyout just with a dimmer effect that we control the speed of. So now we got this glitchy flyout with all the beams turning on and off as they're moving through space. You can do all kinds of stuff with lasers that you could not even think of doing with moving lights and make really cool cues that integrate really tightly with your lighting rig, because you can program these. I can have the same color presets running on my lights and make some really cohesive stuff that is entirely unique and hasn't been seen before. Let's do the same thing on MA. So over on MA, we're going to do basically the same thing. I can grab all of my builders, turn them on. I can grab, let's grab a different gobo this time. Let's grab something interesting. Let's do like, where's my, I think actually there's some good stuff in circles. No, I want lines. I know which one I want. Lines. Let's get the one that's got... Actually, that's a really good one. Let's zoom down. So I'm going to leave the... there we go. Got a good scan. Color... Make all our builders be green. And then let's go ahead and fan ourselves out. Yeah, there we go. Nice wide fan. Zoom. Get a nice narrow zoom. Yeah, there we go. So I am centered on my tilt, and my pan is fanned out. Tilt is center. Yep. So now we're just going to make the exact same effect in MA. Add tilt, confirm, ramp. So we need to flip the ramp. Ramp. Cool. So now we're just spread across all our builders. We have a tilt ramp going across all our builders. And again, they're auto regenerating at the bottom. It's a laser. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle that selection. We're getting the same kind of thing we did over on Onyx. Got the shuffled selection tilt. We can add, again, anything else we want to on top of this. And it's super easy to spread it across however you want to. So I could... Let me just grab all my builders in order again. So I'm going to do this. I can easily do it per, let's say I want to do each laser fire at once. So I've got a block of 8 now. So all 8 builders per laser are kicking on and flying out at the same time. So we have the whole fan moving at the same time. I could make this be group 3, just like the other one. It'll be a 3-part move, or there's 3 different sets of beams moving up. I can give this, how many wings does that? That's, again, 8, so 16. So I can make it symmetrical. I can go out to in, I can go in to out. And so you can flip things really however you want. I can change it to a fly-in just by flipping what sawtooth I'm using. I can add, again, anything I want to on top of this. But yeah, flyouts and lasers, super easy because you're not even adding a dimmer component. All you're doing is putting a sawtooth on there and spreading it across as many units as you want and setting the tilt or pan range, whatever you want. You can also add pan to this if you want at the same time. We can have something that moves from like a down center to an up out. So let's go ahead and do this. Is actually kind of a really interesting spin on the firework. So all these guys, position right there. Let's do that as our first position. And then let's do this as our second. So we're now going to go from a low center to an up fan, and they're all going to kind of go out scattering in directions. So I'm going to store that. We're going to be using position 68, position 69. Edit U. I'm going to add pan and tilt. So again, beauty of lasers, 2 position effects, the reset is instant. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all my builders, grab all my builders, take selection into the effect. Give myself a useful gobo and zoom. And edit those presets. So this is going to be 68 and 69. And this is going to be a ramp. Get the beam looking like what I want it to look like. For this, let's do, yeah. That's a good one. Zoom it way down. There we go. There we go. And then apply that effect. Oh, too many points. Get a better gobo. Okay, so let's just get, what can I get away with here? Give me like a multi-line thing. There you go. Yeah, there we go. The X will be good. I think it'll be able to render that. Okay, so pick a good gobo. I'm here. I grab the X, and we are now going to apply that effect. And so we've got it shooting from a low center point up to a fanned out position. So again, a normal for a flyout, you can easily assign between 2 positions for a moving light and get there on an effect. You can easily assign 2 positions on the laser, go there on the effect. And again, I can go ahead, shuffle selection order, get all kinds of craziness. And I can also add a dimmer to this as well, dimmer component. And why don't I just make that be like a ramp 50 so that we don't have all of these on at the same time. And I'm going to show selection on that, take selection on that so we have the same random. And make sure, yeah, no grouping tools. Okay, so we have that effect moving randomly between 2 positions now, and you can see all the beams on at the same time. What if we don't want that? Well, I can add a dimmer component, or I can just as easily move the position to be outside of the zone, and that'll get me something similar as well very quickly. So I'm just going to off this effect, and I'm going to update my positions to be outside of the zone. My low position is going to be way outside the zone that way. I'm going to make a new one. That is going to be outside the zone that way. Store 74 and 75. So I'm going to change my low to 74. Going to change my high to 75. Now, turn that on. And we have a lot more intensity off time for these now because they're moving from outside the zone to outside the zone. And again, if I just take that linearly, grab all of my builders and take that in a row, then it's just going to move like that. I can just as easily change my phasing for this, or sorry, groups for this, my blocks for this, whatever I want to do. I can do a group 4, block 2, and they're going to move in pairs, where 2 per laser will fire at the same time. And then I can give it a so now I've got the middle 4 firing and then the outer 4 firing in sequence by giving it 2 groups, 2 blocks, 16 wings. Because we have 8 lasers up there, so double the number of wings as lasers. And again, if you just had 8 moving heads here, you'd only be able to move those 8 individual heads up. I can split these 64 beams up however I want for these effects, which lets you create some really more dense or deep or high definition, if you will, programming out of just 8 units. So on the Avo, should be pretty easy to set up as a keyframe for your fly in, fly out. So start fanned low. So just go to your fan, tilt it all the way down, out the bottom. Store that as your first step. So do a new keyframe, store that as your first step. Yep. And then tilt them out the top of the zone and store that as your second step.
Then the top one. Sorry, it was telling me it wasn't in the programmer. Okay.
There you go. And store that as your second step in the keyframe. Yep. There you go. Cool. So now you just got to edit your keyframe.
So the snap on the second one means it's going up and then snapping off and then coming back in.
Exactly.
And then if you wanted to flip it, you would just flip which one is snapping. So it'll come down, snap, and then go back up.
So for a fly in, you just need to change which side has the snap. So you can easily spread that keyframe across all 8 builders. And so here we see, since it's a spread of 8, basically each builder on the laser is taking in turn. So it's builder 1 through builder 8 on each laser. If you do it as 16, it's going to cross 2 lasers. If you do it as 64, it's going to be across everybody. So now it's just going to slowly go down over all of them. Cool. So we got one special prompt that was start fanned out at the bottom and go up to a single point at the top, kind of like a flyout pyramid, if you will. So we're going to make that real quick on MA because that one is actually really easy to do. Kind of the inverse of what I had before where it was going up and fanning out. This is fan at the bottom to point at the top. So what we're going to do, I have 2 positions here. One of them is fanned out at the bottom. Let's go ahead, and they asked for a single point. So we're going to go to Gobo, fire up our points. We got a single point. So there's our first position. There's our second position. If I move between them with a program time, you will see that we go up to a single point. So, and we fan back out to the bottom. So I just need to make sure that I have those 2 positions already in the effect. So if I just take this as it is right now, I'm going to go ahead, take selection. So again, we're just kind of fanning across all the lasers. I think this would look really cool if each laser took all 8 of them and pulled them up to the point at the same time. So we're going to do a block 8 on this effect. And so what's that going to do? Each 8 builders of that laser move up to the point at the same time. Now I'm going to do a shuffle so that we get a randomness to which laser is going up. Now they asked for green beams. Oh, we got those green beams all day long. Let's grab our other color part as well, because I think that's what it is. Builders. Green beams. So we have green beams going from a fan at the bottom to a point at the top. Let's slow this down a little bit because I think this whole pyramid building thing could be cool at a much slower speed. Coming up, meeting at a point at the top. And then it just immediately, again, you don't need to have a dimmer part because it's immediately generating at the bottom. So if you're doing this with any moving light, you would need to have a dimmer part to your effect, and you would need to phase that correctly so that it would shut off and go back to the bottom. And honestly, this kind of almost looks like a zoom effect at the same time. So you can do something that looks like a zoom effect very easily like this. Now, I want to kind of think of another way to do this. One thing that I've used a bunch in live shows is kind of either a beam expansion or a beam zoom down, but I'm doing it just with my position of my individual builders. So let's do that with just this look. I'm going to go ahead and set these to a fan position, static, off that effect. So we've got a fan. We're going to tilt it up to the middle. And I'm just going to store this as a background cue. This would be like, usually I would just have a bunch of busking stuff up. Let me move that, move you. Move that to another page. So there, got the background. Move this other crap out of the way, whatever it is. So I have this cue. Let's say I want to have just a button that pulls these down together. So I can very easily grab all of my builders and just set the pan position to center. And I saw the lifetime on, so it's moving there. So I can set that, I can store that as a, I'm going to set that as a temp. There we go. We got a temp button. And now if I set my exact time and clear out, I can have bring everybody together to one beam. And the inverse is also true. You can do the opposite and have a beam expander, if you will. So you can make these buttons and run them live. You can have a hit to do whatever parameter you want of a laser. You're very not limited in terms of selecting a clip and playing that clip back. Just like a light, where you can take any parameter, pull that parameter out, and put it on an executor, you can do that with lasers. So the possibilities are really limitless.